All right, now I'm going to show you how to unload the data from this SM3A. And I'm using this GoPro camera to show you a little bit up close what it looks like. We start by unplugging the blind plug and plugging in the cable here. All right, and now you see the 3 LEDs come on. The battery needs some charging. It's red. Okay, there was a measurement. So it's still measuring. The first thing we need to do is to stop it from measuring. And we go over to this computer, select the serial port, open the connector, go to Special, change the mode to Sleep, and click Set. Now we stopped it from measuring. All right. Now we can go to Download, and I don't need this anymore. And we go to Download and check how many data we have in memory. 37. So we click here to select the file to save it to. Test SM3A number 2 we can put. Accept. All right. Now we can download the data. But we are at 9600 baud. It's going to take some time. So if we want to speed things up, we can go to Special and change the baud rate to 115,200. Set. Now the baud rate has changed in both the instrument and the PC. So we go back to Download and we do the Get New, because all the records here are new. There are no old records in this instrument. And it will download very fast because we have 115K. It's blinking real fast, and now it's done already. So this window here will open. This is the window where we can see the raw data. Let's go to the first record. We can see here the start time of this measurement. Temperature in centikelvin, battery potential in millivolt, 4.015 volts. It was almost charged. So we close this window, and now we go to this SediMeter control window and take data, analyze, logged. And this window opens. This is the window for looking at the data. The top graph here, SediMeter backscatter intensity, that's the gray levels. We'll have to click adjust here to get reasonable values. As you can see, this instrument has not been calibrated. It's a new one that has not been calibrated yet, so these values are not just random values basically. But you can see the lighter values down below the sediment, the bottom, and the darker values up here in the water. This, at the end, is where I took the instrument up before I connected it and turned off the log. The graph here down in the middle, data plot, contains the interpreted values. If you look over here, in the legend, you'll see level centimeter, thick red line, and in the bottom here, centimeter, thin red line. And the same thing happens with FBU, top 6, thick blue line, and FBU, thin blue line. This requires an explanation. The thick level up here, the thick red line, that's the level that's calculated in the software. The thin red line is the level that's calculated in the SediMeter that was reported in AI6. Now the thick blue line is calculated in the software as the average of these 6 optical backscatter detectors, whereas the thin blue line is the value from the SediMeter from this optical backscatter detector. Then we also have the temperature in degrees Celsius and the battery voltage in this graph here. In the bottom right corner you see a data table. There you have the same values, the same columns. And there are two more tabs on that. One is a 3D view where you can visualize the data, and the other one is bottom detection where you can select which method the software will use to calculate the bottom level. The default here is automatic, which is very similar. The method is very similar to the one used in the instrument, but not exactly the same. There is a possibility here to ignore one of the detectors. Let's say there was some dirt or something covering one of them, or a bubble. Then you can ignore that and it will extrapolate from the ones above and below. You can also set manual. There are 4 methods of manual calculation of the bottom level. When you use the manual, then the bottom definition up here is the value that's used. Now look in the central graph when I change this slider. You see how, depending on the value for bottom definition that I choose, the bottom level goes up and down. This is another way to change the bottom definition. And you can also type in the value directly. Now, here's a switch holder tube. The thing is that this instrument is calibrated without the holder tube. But usually, typically, you will mount it inside a 20 millimeter diameter holder tube. So to compensate for the reflection in the tube, click this here, and it will adjust the values. All right, the only thing left to explain here is that you can also look at the voltage directly, the raw values, and you can convert the FBU values to ppm, sediment concentration, using A and Q values that you have developed by taking sediment samples and making a correlation. There are many ways to look at these graphs and analyze it, and you'll have to play around with it. I'll show you a few things here. You can do a zoom of the value. Oh, we'll have to adjust here. You can do a zoom like this. You can take the hand and move it around. You can change the scale by typing in the values you want. The default here is 0 to 36. That. You can right-click it and export the data to clipboard. You can set auto scale, manual scale, and the same for this graph. Of course, you've got a right scale and a left scale. The FBU is on the right scale here, and the level is on the left. The battery is on the left and the temperature on the left. But you can change that if you want here. So play around with it. Oh yes, I would say the cursor. Here you have cursors for the two graphs. If you right click here, you can select bring to center, and the cursor ends up in the center of the graph. You can move around, move the cursor, and now it's down here, and you can read up here the value, the date, the time, and the value. Monitoring here is for when doing real-time monitoring. That's a separate video. So now we just, export here. That's for, there are several ways to export the data. This is one way. This exports the raw SediMeter data, the intensity values. The other way is down here in the data table. You can save that, and that exports the analyzed, the level data. All right, close this. And we get back to the control window. Just for your information, if you go to edit raw data, you can go back to this graph here, and here it's possible to delete the first record, the last record, or all of them. They are still in memory. So that's it, pretty much. We will close the connection and exit. That's it. Thank you for watching.